All right, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and get started on our second session tonight. So for this one, we got Coach Rico Zackery, who was a high school coach in Georgia for 11 years. He spent his last 5 years as a head coach at Central Carrollton and at Villarica. He's also coached 4 years at the collegiate level. He was at Georgia Southern, and he's currently an assistant coach at Kennesaw State University. So tonight he's going to talk to us about defending RPOs out of quarters coverage. So Coach Zackery, take it away.
Hey guys, I really appreciate the opportunity to come and speak in front of these guys. I was a Georgia high school football coach as well, like you guys said. And I used to get a lot out of these, clinics. I always try to bring something back, to the staff or to the defense or to the offense, So what you guys are doing with all the resources that you guys are providing, and I see them on Twitter and Instagram every day. Trust me, I pay attention to them. I get up early in the morning and I'm looking for them. I'm looking for you guys, what you guys are posting. So I know that there's a lot of guys that, are doing the same thing, when it comes to these resources. So we appreciate that. But yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of things. We're going to, mainly focus on the RPOs and how we play the RPOs. I'm not going to say, this is the way that everybody should do it, but this is the way that we do it at Kennesaw State. And then, just kind of talk about the structure of the defense so that everybody understands, how we get aligned, how everything starts off for us as far as alignment goes. And then, a couple of other little things that I just kind of wanted to throw out there before we actually get to the film. I'm going to try to get to the film quicker today. I did this clinic last year, and we spent so much time on a PowerPoint that we didn't get enough time on the film, and I know you guys want to watch the fits and things of that nature. So I'm going to try to move fast through the PowerPoint. You guys have any questions, you guys can type them in. I'm going to try to do as good of a job as Coach Lamb did, but following Coach Lamb, you guys kind of set me up following Coach Lamb tonight, but it's all good. I have a lot of respect for everything that he's done. All right, just a couple of little slides to get us started off. We've been the most successful startup program in NCAA history. We've been playing 5 years. We won 48 games in 5 years. That's pretty remarkable if you're keeping up with a number, with a certain amount. That's nearly 10 games a year, every year that you've played. And we think that that to us is very, very important. But, a lot of it is the type of people that we recruit. You know what I mean? You guys know us. It takes a lot of time for us to take guys. We vet them out. We make sure that they fit what we do. We make sure that they fit our culture, which I'm going to talk about here in a second. But I think that culture is the reason that we've been able to win the way that we've been able to win. The spring schedule. And so we are trying to get ready for this spring schedule. It's the first time ever, but COVID's made a lot of things be the first time ever. So we sit here, we got a spring season that we're about to play. We're going to take a couple of months off and then we're going to play in the fall. That's what we're staring down the barrel of right now. So we're going to play this game. I put the schedule on here so you guys can see it. There will be limited seating, but I think they're allowing people to come. So if you guys want to come, you guys know, high school coaches, you know how to, and if you don't know how to, you're more than welcome to contact me, but, get tickets and everything that, we can do with that. Now, we can't do anything with recruits still. We're still in dead. They're keeping us dead until at least April the 15th as far as recruits go, but coaches should be able to come. And if players want to come, then they just got to buy their own tickets. That's kind of how that's going to go. So we got 6 games, and then we got the playoff. Our goal at Kennesaw State is to win the national championship every year. We work like that every day. We work to that goal every single day. We've won 2 conference championships in those 5 years. We want to continue to do that, but we want to win a national championship. That's right. That's how we recruit. That's how we coach. That's our goal every single day and everything that we do. We're trying to win a national championship. So we'd love to win a national championship here in the spring and then turn around and win another one there in the fall. I mean, that'd be great. But, we know that there's a lot that goes into that, but our kids understand that that's our goal. Just before we get into the scheme of things, we've had one of the top defenses the last 3 years. We were number 2 3 years ago. We were number 3 in total defense last year. We've always had, a successful defense. And, the scheme's all good and great, the things that we're about to talk about here in a second. Don't get me wrong. we spend a lot of time on schemes and making sure that we have answers for people that we play. But nothing trumps this with Coach Bohannon. This is what we do. This is who we are. This is what we are every single day. And we have to preach this every single day in everything that we do. We do it in the weight room. We preach it at practice, preaching, watching film, whatever we're doing, we're preaching this. Eat. I know you guys see it a lot on our social medias, Instagrams, Twitters, Facebook. Eat. It's effort, attitude, and toughness. This is every day for us. Okay. Effort is what we're built on. Relentless pursuit of the football. It's a must. Our players know it's a must. We practice this way every day. We pursue the ball carriers. You know, we want to prevent big plays. Effort is a non-negotiable. And when we recruit kids, we like to watch and see, you know, what kind of effort they're playing with. We like to watch whole games. We watch highlights, and we like to watch whole games on some players as well. If, you know, the coaches ever questioned anything, their coach or, you know, anybody that we reach out to, if they question, and we like to watch whole games to see, you know, how hard these kids play. And if we think it's a good kid that we can, you know, kind of mold into this, then we'll take a kid as well. But, you know, this effort's a non-negotiable. It's going to be the number one thing that we do. All right, we're going to play with a lot of effort, okay? Attitude is the next thing. You know, as long as you're coachable and you have a great attitude, you can play for us. I mean, that's very, very important when you come in our program, because you're going to be coached very, very hard. I've been at 2 different programs. If you come to one of our practices, you will see that you're going to get coached, that these kids are getting coached very, very hard by the position coach, by the head coach. Coach Bohannon coaches harder than any head coach I've ever been around. Now, I haven't been around a bunch. I've been around a bunch of guys in high school. I've been around you know, a couple of guys at Georgia Southern, but, you know, other than that, and the guys that I played for, Coach Bohannon coaches, he coaches hard. He coaches like a position coach at practice. I think that's pretty neat that he gets after it like that every single day. But yeah, coachable, great attitude. That's all we ask. If you could do that, then you could play. You know, we could teach you the other things, but if you got these things, then you could play. Okay. And then toughness is the last. We dominated our opponents, both physically and mentally. Pursuit, getting off blocks, tackling with physicality. All right, mental toughness. These are the epitome of who we are. If we can do these things, these 3 things, okay, we feel like we can have a successful defense regardless of the scheme. So this is very, very important. So as I get into the scheme of things, I want you to understand that this is what we're built on before we even get to any kind of scheme things, okay? Because at the end of the day, this is the most important thing, in my opinion, that you can build into, you know, your culture at your school. You know, when I was a high school coach, it was the same thing for us. You know, we could play 3-4, 3-5, 4-3, whatever it is, you know, but if we don't have this eat culture, then what are we really doing? You know what I mean? Like we need to make sure that these guys understand that they're going to run to the football. They're going to play with effort. They're going to have a great attitude. And then we're going to be tougher than everybody. We need to build that in them first before we start talking scheme. Okay. And you do that throughout the year. That ain't just a thing that you do the first day of practice. You do that in January. You do it in February. You do it in the weight room, right? That was always the way that I believed as a head coach. All right. And then the main thing, even though we're recruiting talented players, okay, it takes 0 talent to develop these things. Okay. To be great at eat takes 0 talent. And I think that's very, very important. Okay. I just wanted to show that slide because I wanted everybody to understand that when you watch us play, there's probably not going to be a lot of scheme things going on. But what you will see is, and we take a lot of pride in this, all right, there's playing very, very fast and guys not taking plays off, okay, and not very many mental mistakes. You know, we take a lot of pride in that. We like when people tell us, hey, man, y'all play so hard. We love that. We'd rather somebody tell us that than tell us you had a great scheme. You know, so I just want to understand, I want everybody to understand, you know, kind of where we coming from here at Kennesaw State. All right, just some stats, move past that. Here's how we're going to kind of go through things, the lineup, all right? So we'll go through structure of the defense real quick. I'll just hit this Y-3-4 alignments, coverage concepts and everything, just so you understand, you know, the structure of the defense. I kind of hit that, you know, as quick as I can so that we can get to the film. All right, so these are just a couple of things that, you know, the structure of our defense, okay? We already talked about the identity of our defense. We're multiple 3-4s, what we like to call it, because we do play, you know, odd fronts, even fronts. We like to be in a 3-man front, 4-man front. But we do a lot of the same things when we get into that odd front from, our even front look. So it all ties into each other. Okay, with 3-4 personnel, we're a field and boundary team. So we've got, we've got our boundary guys are aligned into the boundary. Our field guys are aligned to the field. And I'm going to show you a picture of that here in a second. But we do align field and boundary. We believe that that allows us to get aligned quick. We play a lot of teams that want to go fast these days. So we want to get aligned as quick as possible. So we like to be field and boundary. And then in the middle of the field, you got your middle of the field issues. You have to work it every day, but we align to the formation. Okay. We're gap control. We like to tell everybody got one gap. You know what I mean? There'll be a couple of things and, that they'll have to do, as linebackers and things of that nature. But we gap control defense. We play zone, robber, match, man schemes, probably the same stuff everybody else does. The fronts coordinate with the coverages. We create confusion. We like to create confusion. So what we like to do is, like I said, we're doing a lot of the same things no matter which front we're in, but it looks like a lot to the offense. It presents to be a lot to the offense. When to us, we're all tying it all together in what we're doing. All right. The 3-4 personnel allows us to be based on a 4-man front. It allows us to align quickly. I've already talked about that. We can slide to multiple fronts. We make a lot of move calls with the front, and it allows us to slide the fronts. We do that a lot. We post snap and pre snap move a bunch. Okay, and post snap meaning that we slant a bunch. We slant to what we're trying to get to a lot. We got smaller guys up front, so we feel like using our quickness can be to our advantage against a lot of the teams we play. Okay, we pressure from odd and even fronts. Like I said, we like to get to the same thing. And an example being we're under front defense. We stand up the rush to the boundary. That's why we're 3-4 personnel. We stand up the 5 technique to the boundary. That makes us 3-4 personnel. But we like to play a lot of 4-man front. And when we do go to an odd front, we like to move to an under front. So we actually get to the same things that we, starting in our 4-man front. And that helps the backers out, because when you package them together, you tell the backers, hey, the gaps are still the same, even though, we're in an odd front, we're just moving back to, whatever our base front is. And that just being one example. Our boundary outside linebacker is always the edge of the defense. That's our rush in. That guy's a 5 technique in our 4-man stuff, but then that guy can also be an apex player when we go to our odd stuff. Bring him off the edge and let him set the edge of the defense, or he could be a hash dropper, curl dropper, or a 2-dropper, whatever we want to do with that guy. So we have to recruit a guy that can do that. But I really think that there's a lot of guys, when I was a high school coach, I would like to go back. If I went back to high school, I would definitely run this defense because of how multiple you can be out of it. And I think that this rush guy can be a smaller guy that's a really good pass rusher. He doesn't have to be, a 240-pound D lineman. And we run into those issues as high school coaches, not having enough D linemen and things of that nature. So I think that that's a good deal that you can get a guy like that. So this is what the base of our defense looks like. All right, we're field boundary. Okay, we always the first thing our defense is going to do. Okay, the bandit safety is always going to set our defense to the hash. So if the ball's on the left hash, he's going to make a left call. All right, that tells basically the short side of our defense, the boundary safety, the wheel linebacker, the boundary corner. That's going to tell us where to align. All the field guys, the overhang, the Sam, the free safety, the Mike, you guys are going to always align to the field. So they always align opposite the call. Okay. So in this picture, the bandit safety, we're making a left call. Okay, left. He'd get us a line that's just saying that the ball's on the left hash, we align to the hash. Okay. The middle linebacker always sets the 3 technique. All right. We're in a short front right here, which tells us the 3 technique is going to be to the boundary. Okay. So he's going to make a loop call. And that just tells the 2 front guys to slide to the 3 technique bend to the boundary and the shade bend to the field. All right. The opposite of short is field. If we play field defense, we want 3 to the field and the shade to the boundary. So he's going to make a run call. So it's lure run, depending on where the 3 techniques align. We have multiple fronts that, all we do with our fronts, if we're in our 4-man fronts, all we do is, our fronts, we call our fronts to set the 3 technique. So our short front's going to set him to the boundary. Our field front's going to set him to the field. Our over front's going to set him to to the back in a 10 personnel pitch, but a 3-man surface overrules that and allows the three technique to go to the 3-man surface. And if we got an H back that's off the line, we always still, set it to the back. And then of course our underfront, we're gonna set our 3 technique away from the back. All right, just a couple of other different. This is how we get to our high front. You can see here our rush is down to the boundary here. So this would be a right call. When we want to go, this is how we're structured when we want to go to our high front. Okay, so the end to the field, the 5 technique to the field is before I. Okay, and then we're going to apex the rush to the boundary. So that turns us to odd. Our base odd front ox is 2 4 eyes and a 0. Okay, the rush is apexed. He's aligned off 2. That's what we tell him. We tell him to align off 2. So if it's 2 removed, then I'm apexed. If 2's in the backfield, meaning it's 3-by-1, 2 in the backfield, then I'm on the line of scrimmage. Okay, and I'm playing whatever my assignment is, depending on the call. All right, these are our coverage concepts. We want to talk about our coverage concepts a little bit. So palms is basically 2 read. Okay, it's 2 read, it's max coverage. There's a lot of different terms for it, but we call it palms. Okay, so if you look in the picture to the left, we just have everybody's assignments, right? So a holding fold player is an apex player, which that could be, it's an invert, right? So it could be a wheel to the boundary, or it could be a Sam to the field. Okay, that's what we call those guys our inverts. We want to make it really easy, and we call those guys inverts, and you'll see why when we start talking through fits here in a second. Okay, but in our palms coverage, that invert guy, whether it be the Sam or the wheel, is our this is our 2 remove check out of palms. Okay, he's a hook to curl player. Okay, or 3 through. All right, our corner is our 2-to-1 player. So his eyes are on 2. If 2 is out immediately, and I'll tell you here in a second what that means. All right, he's leveraging 2. Okay, the safety's always reading 2. So if 2's out, his eyes go to 1. So if you see the top box here, when we talking palms coverage, the first drawing, if 2's out immediately, and we want him to be out immediately. Okay, anything vertical pressing, all right, we're gonna match it. But if 2's out immediately, the corner's gonna leverage it, and the safety's eyes are gonna go to 1. All right, my eyes need to go to 1 as I'm getting ready to stack 1. Okay, and then the invert is our hook to curl player or 3 through. So if 3 is to the flats from the backfield, he leveraged that guy out. Okay, but if there's no threat of 3, then he's a hook to curl player. Okay, if you look at the second box, the second drawing, you get 2 slants. All right, if 2's in, if I'm a safety and my eyes are on, if both guys are reading 2, if 2's in, then I want to curl dig post, get my eyes to 1. Okay, and if I'm the corner and 2's in, then I want to match 1. So I want to leverage that out. All right, we're just going through the basic rules of this palms coverage, basically, versus these route combinations. If we do get a bubble, all right, if 2's out now, it's kind of like the top pitcher, the pitcher above it, right? That's a now call to us, just like the top pitcher would be in a quick out. We make those now calls. The corner's leveraging 2 out, and the safety's stacking 1. And of course, if one is stalking us, then we want to take the proper leverage and making the tackle. The corner wants to tackle it outside in, outside leverage, and then the safety wants to be inside out on that leverage. Okay, we actually like to play our corner 1-by-7 inside leverage. Okay, because we believe that playing that guy outside leverage on his alignment, we're talking alignments here. All right, the guys just run themselves out of the play. You'll see that here in a second. So we like to be 1-by-7 inside leverage, and if 2's out, then we want to push through 1 to that. We feel like we could beat that guy. Okay. All right, it's just 2 read coverage, and then the very, very last picture. Again, 2 is eliminating with the curl. Okay, so if he's eliminating short with the curl, then if I'm the safety, my eyes are going to 1. Okay, I'm getting ready to leverage out a curl dig post player. So I'm looking for any curl, any dig out of 1 with my eyes, not necessarily my body. All right, and then the corner's getting ready to play post a vertical over the top. Okay, and now if we don't get any verticals, if those guys both, if we get hitches out of both of those guys, then of course we got to throw our pedal down. We don't want to leave too much space in between those guys in our palms coverage. All right, quad is the second concept in our quarters coverage concepts, okay? So quad, all right, the invert now is our two flat man player. Okay, so anything out, he's gonna match it. Our invert player. That could be our Sam on a two, and our Will on a two. He's gonna match it. Safety's gonna be a curl dig post player, okay? And then the corner's gonna be a vertical post player. So as you can see in those pictures, same route combinations. The first one, top left. If two's out now, then the invert's gonna match it. Okay. The corner's gonna match anything vertical or anything post over the top. And the safety's a curl dig post player. So I'm gonna play curl dig post with my eyes. Okay. All right. Second picture, if we do get anything back inside, all right, the invert's gonna pass it. The safety's still playing curl dig post, and the corner's thinking vertical post out of one. Okay. Now, if one is anything short of a vertical post, then it's gonna, the safety's gonna match it if it's an inside cut. Okay. All right. The bottom left corner, the bottom left picture is the same as the top left picture. Same kind of concept with two running the bubble. The two flat man is going to leverage it out. Okay. Safety's still going to play curl dig post, and the corner is going to be a vertical post player. All right. Of course, we get stalk ball, getting ready to leverage that out and box it back into the invert. Okay. And then the same thing with the two hitches. All right. If we play bracket, which we don't play a lot of bracket, but if we do play bracket, all it does is allows us to it allows us a way to take the invert to the field and allow him outside leverage. But the rules are basically the same, just the alignments change. Okay, as quad. Okay. Now, if we do call our quarters coverage, okay, and we got two removed, then we're gonna play palms to it. That's automatic. All right. We can change this week to week. And most of the time, if we have one removed and a tight end attached, all right, or anything attached, then them guys will mostly check quad to that. Okay, they'll mostly check quad to that. Just so that backer or that invert, in case he has a gap that he's playing, he's able to leverage out anything that goes to the flats from anything that's attached. All right. Now we can palms it, we can do a lot of different things, but just going into, putting the coverage in base, that's the base rule that we put in. Okay, so it's either two removed or one removed. If it's one removed and two's attached, then we're gonna play quad. That's base day one rule. All right, read coverage is we got a lot of different ways that we play Chico. We play trips, okay, or three removed. All right, but day one, we're gonna play read to it. And basically what we're doing in read coverage, we're taking the Sam or the invert to the field and the safety to the field, and we're playing palms with those two guys. Okay, but they're reading 3-2 instead of 2-1, like we just talked about. But the rules are the same. So if one's vertical, we're both matching. The safety's matching 3, the nickel or the Sam's are matching 2. All right, if 2's out now, then the nickel's leveraging that out. The safety's stacking 1. Okay, and if 2's under right now, then the safety's curl dig post, and the nickel's thinking vertical post. Okay, so it's palm coverage, but it's on 3 and 2. All right, and the corners all of 1. That's read. Now we do play Chico, okay, as a trips adjustment, and then we do play a couple other things as trips adjustments. But this is our day one. This is what we go into day one with. All right. You see some of this saying hold and fold, talking about hold and fold players in a second as I get to the RPO fits and the things that we're here to talk about. All right, but on the one remove side, we play what we call Mickey on the one remove side. And basically what Mickey is, got the sky right there, but here's your Mickey. So basically what it is your safety is your curl dig post player with one removed, okay, and your corner's your vertical post player. All right, so what the Mickey player does is called a Q technique. Of course, he's getting his run past key first because most of the time he's a part of the fit. All right, if it's pass, my eyes go to 1, and if 1's on the outside release, then my eyes read the Q. That's why we call it a Q technique on this Mickey. All right, and what we want to do is if the quarterback's staring down something to the field that may be coming back to you, we want to be able to help with that. Okay, but if the quarterback's staring to the boundary, then we want to be able to break on that as well. So, once we get our run pass read, our eyes go to 1. If 1 is an outside release, we want to play a Q technique. Now, if 1's an inside release, then we want to be ready to be bracket that guy and play, curl dig post. So our eyes got to do a lot of different things on that Mickey. But we don't want to really stress that guy with being a vertical player because, like I said, most of the time he's a part of the fit. We're gonna go through in a second. But this is now we play, by one, one remove, we play a sky, we play cloud a little bit, but this Mickey is the way that we play it. This is our base way of playing it. Okay, when we playing quarters coverage. All right, so defending the RPOs, just a couple of things, because there's no way you can defend everything that everybody's going to do to you. Okay, so what we want to do is, first of all, we want to stop the run. We believe that the RPO is a fit problem, not a coverage problem. So we want to make sure we gap sound and we're able to stop the run. Okay. Number two, where is the high percentage throw? Most of the time in an RPO, okay, they use pre and post snap reads. We know that. But most of the time when they're post snap RPO, they're going to read to the side of the back. So we say that that's the high percentage throw. Now we know that people nowadays are doing RPOs away from the back and they're reading behind them. I understand that, okay, and we're gonna kind of go through a way to, to how we teach everything that we do, but we're doing this to take away the most high percentage throw, and we feel like that's to the side of the back because it's an easier way for the quarterback, to read it as he's going through that progression on a post snap read. Okay, that's what we're gonna talk about. How can we gain an extra player to the side of the back? Okay, how can we eliminate conflicts? I identify the player that the offense is trying to take advantage of and eliminate the run pass conflicts. Okay. So if you know who they're reading most of the game, which a lot of people read everybody nowadays. So, if you can figure that out by game planning, then you can have a plan for it. Okay. We always want to have clean keys and reads. We don't want to be giving people like if you're a hold and fold player, then when you don't have a primary gap. So we don't want to put anybody in any conflicts. We want to make this as easy as possible. We want to give them a base rule, and we want to make it as easy as possible if it's a team that's running a lot of RPOs. Okay. All right. So we talk about the inverts, the Mike and the Sam. All right. Here's some things that they got to know pre-snap that we always talk to them about. All right. The back alignment. Okay. So if we got a deep back, then we know most teams, if they're giving you a deep back, it's gonna be a downhill run. We're thinking back fits. That's what we call it. All right, back fits. And I'm going to go through that here in a second. All right, if it's an even back, then we know most teams are going to run some kind of stretch or power read or something of that nature. And most of the time, we're going to be ready to go speed flow that. Okay. So now, we're not that's not in concrete, but that's just the way that you got to be thinking pre-snap. Okay. If I see that back's alignment, that's just a tip for you. Doesn't mean it's going to happen just because he's Debbie or deep. That means it's going to be a downhill run. They can do anything out of it. Now they're pitching off of that because they know that people think it's a downhill run. So, but my mindset's got to be, hey, it's going to be a downhill run, but I got to be ready to read my keys and play out my keys or wherever it takes me. Okay. And then if anything's in the front, then most of the time that guys, it's a perimeter run or some kind of pass game. So knowing where that back is aligned is important to us. Okay. All right, so here's getting into defending the RPO. So we have an invert that's always to the back, and we have an invert that's always away from the back. Those inverts, remember, Sam and Will, we're talking 2x2 right here. We get the 3x1s in a second, but we're talking 2x2. Okay, so whether this is the Sam in the red or whether this is the Will, it doesn't matter. It could be either one of them. It depends on where the back's at. All right, so let's just say that the back's to this is the Will that we're talking about. We got a 7-man box here, and we are fitting with the 4-down lineman. All right, the middle linebacker is a 50 backer always, a 10 or a 50. Okay, and then we're fitting with the invert away from the back. Okay, so the middle linebacker, the 10 backer, and the invert away from the back, we're the fitters. First open gap away from the back. That's the rule we give them. First open gap away from the back. The invert player to the back is always a hold and fold. That's how we get an extra fitter to the backside to take away RPO on the backside. Okay, so this is a weird deal because I'm so used to people being able to talk to people and make sure everybody gets it, but like this Zoom call is like Is anybody there? You know what I mean? But so we tell them first open gap away from the back. So our alignment rules for the mic and the wheel, okay, or those guys are gonna be 10-50s if it's a 2x2. So the mic's always gonna be a 10 away from the back. I know we got into the back here, a 10 away from the back. The wheel's always gonna be a 50 if it's 2x2 into the boundary. Okay, and the Sam's gonna be apex. So if we're looking at this picture right here, and this is an over front because we got the 3 techniques set to the back, the Mike linebacker is gonna be responsible for the A gap because that's his first open gap away from the back. All right, and then the Sam linebacker or the invert, the yellow invert, is gonna be responsible for the B gap to the field. Okay, it's first open gap away from the back. Okay, and then our wheel knows he's a holding forward player because he's to the back. It's 2x2. All right, and of course, if the back was, let's just say that the yellow inverts to the field. So if the back was to the field, your Sam would now become your holding forward player. Your Mike linebacker first open gap would be the B gap to the field, and then the wheel would be your A gap fitted to the boundary. So we always fitting away from the back with the 2 guys away from the back. All right, here's your solid picture. All right, so in this picture, the back's to the boundary. So we got our 10 and our 50 backer. Okay, our 10 backer is the Mike. He's 10 away from the back. Our 50 backer is the wheel down to the boundary. Okay, the wheel down to the boundary understands that the back's to me, so I'm the hold and fold player. So I'm going to hold in the window of 2. All right, and then I'm going to fold late once I see it, once I recognize run. Now, if the quarterback's running the play and he's not reading me, then I can be ready to fold and be an extra hat. Okay, but if he's reading me, I got to hold and I got to fold late. Okay, this is to the back. All right, away from the back, the Mike linebacker is the first gap away from the back, so he's the A gap away from he's the A gap to the boundary. All right, and then the Sam's the B gap fitter from the field. Now, what we can always do is, all right, we run bingo, we run bash. All right, a bash is basically a pirate. So if you got a 3 technique to you, then you know you run the bash. We can cancel the A and the B gap, make it fall off the table to the holding forward player, and make that fit easier for him if we want to do that. Okay, or we can run a bingo. A bingo is just a angle movement to the open B gap. So in this picture right here, we would call it bingo if we wanted that ball to fall off the table, because now the D55 technique to the field with angle move into the B gap and make the ball fall off the table to the Sam. But we're fitting with the 2 backers away from the back. All right, he's talking 2x2s. Everybody else palms coverage. All right, if we talk pistol, it's a little bit different because it's got to happen on the snap of the ball. Okay, so the hold and fold player out of those 2 inverts is going to be a guy that the quarterback turns to face once he's handing the ball off. So if you see this blue arrow, quarterback, it happens on the snap of the ball. So the fitters, if the quarterback's turning to the red invert here, let's just say that's the wheel, 50 backer. Okay, then the Mike and the Sam are the fitters. Okay, so the Mike's going to fit the B gap to the boundary. The Sam's going to fit the A gap to the field. Or we're going to run a bash, take away the B gap and the A gap and let it fall off the table to him. But those are our fitters. Those are our 6 fitters. Okay, once the quarterback turns his shoulders, declares which way he's turning the ball, which way that he can read, that invert becomes the holding fold player. So in this picture, if we're saying that that's the wheel, then the wheel becomes your holding fold player. All right, and there's a picture of a pistol quarterback. So this quarterback's declared. All right, so the fit happens, post snap. So quarterback's declared here. So the holding fold player here is our wheel linebacker. He's circle yellow. Okay, all right, and our 2 fitters are the Mike backer and the Sam. The Mike's fitting the B gap here. That's the first open gap away from the back, and then the Sam's fitting the A gap here. Okay, now I get it. That's a long way for him to fit. I understand that. And like I said, sometimes we'll bash it, but a lot of the time, now Bryson's All-American, our Sam linebacker. But he's able to fit and make these plays, as you'll be able to see here on film in a second. I mean, at first I was kind of skeptical about it a little bit, but as we start working through it, these guys could really do it. We just tell them, they get at a depth to where they can see it happen. and they understand pre-snap that I'm the fitter because the back's away from me. You know, that makes it easier. You know, at least they know where they got to go. Now, here's the thing. What do y'all do with guys that run RPOs away from the back? So if this quarterback was reading the sound here, what do you do? You know, we always tell our guys pre-snap, you know, going into, you know, all of our installs, okay? If you're an invert or a safety, or maybe even a corner, you could be red, okay? So you got to understand that if a quarterback's reading you on a post-snap play, then we want you to sit and read him, okay? Even if you're a fitter, we want you to sit and read him, because if he hands the ball here, let's say he's reading behind him here, he's reading the sound, he's reading it out the back door. All right, if he hands the ball here, we still feel like the sound's able to fit his gap. You know, like I said, if we bash it, it still got to fall off the table to him. Okay, if the bubble's to the field, it still got to come to the B gap for him to fit. So he can hold if that quarterback's reading him. Okay, so the base rule is, hey, if the quarterback's reading me, then I read him. Okay, so even if I'm a pull flow guy, so we're talking about mostly zone here and fitting these RPOs, but if I'm the wheel here and they're running power to the field, and I get a pull flow read, okay, and that quarterback's reading me, then my base rule is for me to read him back. So I'm just going to sit and read him back and be able to play cutback. Okay, now 3x1 is it's a little bit different. Okay. So if we go 3x1, the inside backers are always 10-50, right? So if we go 3x1, the wheel linebacker then becomes your 50 backer away from the back. I mean, your 10 backer away from the back, excuse me. Okay. And my Mike linebacker becomes my 50 to the field. Those rules are pretty easy for them alignment wise, 10 or 50. Okay. Playing read on 2 and 3. All right. And then we playing man all in one with the corner. All right. So we still want to fit with now the Mike's an invert, right? Because he's the 50 backer to the field. So we still want to fit away from the back here. Okay. So if the wheel linebacker is the Mike now, his first open gap is the A gap to the boundary. All right. The Mike's first open gap is the B gap to the field. So those are your fitters now. Those are your 6 fitters now. Okay. It's going to change when the back flips here in a second. Let's go over that too. All right. But our hold and fold players are obviously our safety now, our bandit safety, our backside safety. He's our hold and fold player now. Whether we play it from a sky alignment or whether we play it from a Mickey alignment, our Mickey alignments are too high alignment, right? We talked about that. All right. That guy's our hold and fold player either way. Okay. We like it from a Mickey alignment because everybody likes to run a glance off of, you know, the back into the boundary. So that guy, that boundary safety doesn't have a gap. So his only thing would be to stay in the window of 1 and make sure that glance route has to be thrown over him. All right, and then fold late, you know, once the ball's given. All right, here you got it back to the field. So the alignment rules are still the same. Your wheel linebackers are 10. All right, he's your 10 back away from the back. All right, and then the Mike's your 50 to the field. Everything's the same. But the Mike now becomes your hold and fold player because the back's to the field. Okay, and your fitters become, here's the tricky one. Your fitters become the wheel. He's going to fit first open gap to the field. And then your backside safety becomes the first open gap fitter to the boundary now. Okay, so those are your 6 fitters now in 3x1. Your boundary safety, your wheel linebacker, who's your 10 backer now. Okay, and then the 4 down guys. If we have any questions, guys, y'all can type them in. I can figure out how to, you know, kind of get them as we go on. Okay. So here's a picture of it. So we got a 3x1. All right, we playing read, we just disguising it here. All right. So your wheel linebacker is your 10 backer away. We always say 10 away from the back. We want to be a 10 away from the back. All right, Mike is your 50 backer here. Okay. All right, and your safety is your 6 fitter. So the back's to the field. So your Mike linebacker, your 50 backer is going to be your hold and fold player. He's going to play in the window of 3. He's going to stay in the window of 3. Okay. Your wheel linebacker's first open gap away from the back. So he's an A gap player, and your boundary safety is the B gap player. We're going to fit those 2 gaps with those 2 guys away from the back. Okay. Now, last year, we pumped the gaps. So we we pretty much hammered those gaps. This year, we're telling that wheel linebacker who's an A-gap fitter, you know, to shuffle stack and fall back. So he's basically reading the shoulders of the back. So yes, he's responsible for that A-gap. But if the back bounces it to the B, to the safety, then we want that guy to be able to fall back to it. Okay. Which, you know, that's a conversation for another day. But some people like to go ahead and pump gaps and give them one gap and not make them fall back. And I'm all for that. Okay. But just another way that we do it, we do allow that guy to do that so that we got two fitters on that back if he gets in the B gap, instead of that safety trying to, you know, take it on all alone. Because that's a lot of space. And we can also run a bingo here, okay, and get the end to cancel that B gap as well, make it fall off the table to the safety. We can always do that. But we gotta put the fits in without the bingos and the bashes, so these guys understand the fits first. Okay. Now, two back is the same as pistol. It's whichever way the quarterback shoulders turn. Okay, and you gain an extra hat. So the quarterback here is a two-back, split back look. Quarterbacks turn to the field. Okay, so our fitters, or the three guys to the boundary, our holding fold player is a Sam to the field. Okay, and like I said, you gain an extra guy with another back being in the backfield, so that safety can be a little bit more patient. But the rules are the same as it would be in a pistol. So the quarterback here is turning to the boundary. So our fitters are to the field. Our Sam and Mike are our fitters. Our Will's an extra guy. And then our bandit safety becomes a holding fold because of the way that the quarterback's shoulders turn on the snap of the ball. So that's got to happen. The two back and the pistol's got to happen on the snap. But one back, it happens pre-snap. We already know we're fitting. So everybody's got to be keyed into, you know, who's to the back, who's away from the back, and then the quarterback shoulders if it's a split look or a pistol look. All right, I'm trying to answer these.
Coach, I said we got a question. I don't know if can you see the questions?
Yeah, I got it pulled up. I'm gonna try to answer them as we go so that we won't have to come back to them. Okay. It says against 3x1, if you get a third level RPO, what is your safety's footwork while he's reading the quarterback? So if we get a 3x1 to the field, we get a back to the boundary. So they're reading the safety. His footwork, we tell these guys to play a statue technique. So there's really no footwork to it. We just want that inside foot up, and we just want them to stand, you know, basically stand in a football position and read the quarterback. Now, you can buzz your feet or you can pop your feet, whichever one you decide you want to do. But the main thing is that guy stays in the window of whoever it is the quarterback's reading him on. So if he's supposed to be in the window of 1 and 1 is running a glance, the main thing is he stays 10 to 12 in that window of 1. Okay. But we like to tell them to play a statue technique. So you'll see those guys just stand there with the inside foot up in whatever window it is. Now, if it's a 3 vertical window, then that Mike linebacker, he'll kind of pedal a little bit to stay in the window. You know what I mean? But we don't want him just pedaling out. We want him to stay in the window and under everything. Does that answer your question, Coach? Yes, sir. All right, so let's watch it film a little bit, because I understand, guys, sometimes when we telling a Sam linebacker to fit the B gap from the field, you're like, I don't know how that's gonna happen. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna try to I'm about to pull up the film here so that we can see it happen. Here we go. Let's share it. Did something happen with the screen right there? Let's see if we can do that again. Something happened, it popped off.
Yeah, we got it now, it looks like.
Can you guys see that? Okay.
Yes.
I know we only got a few minutes, but I'm gonna try to just show a couple of these clips. Y'all gotta bear with me on this film because the system's this is what we've had to deal with throughout this pandemic and trying to do meetings at home with our players. Pop up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry about that. I don't really got any other way to get this any faster, Coach Parker.
No problem, Coach. We all got technology problems sometimes.
Yeah, it's I knew this was going to be an issue doing it from home at 9 o'clock, but
yeah,
get it up and watch a few clips of it so that everybody can understand. We'll just see it happen. And I'll share that PowerPoint. Any of you guys that want it, you can just I'll send you guys. I'll put my email in the questions here in a second, and you guys can have that PowerPoint if you want it, because that's really the way that you look at it and be able to explain it. Sorry, guys. This is trying to get it. Does anybody have any other questions while I try to get this film popped up? That'd be a good time to go ahead and get those knocked out, and then we can spend a few minutes just watching these clips. And I don't mind if they just say them, Coach. If they got questions, anybody want to just say what they got? We got time for that right now. Let's see if we can get this thing pulled up. How much time do we got? Like 2 minutes or something?
We got about it's 12 minutes left, so
okay, all right, good.
If we can get it up.
Hey, Coach Zackery, this is Coach Russell here.
Yes, sir.
On when the safety has to fit, do they automatically? Is there a call made that makes them know they're supposed to fit?
It's where the back's aligned, right?
Okay.
So it first of all, it's got to be a 3x1 for the safety to be a fitter.
Okay.
Then the second thing is it depends on where the back's aligned. If the back's aligned to the field, then the boundary safety knows now I'm the first open gap to the boundary. So it's all predicated on where the back's aligned. Now, if the back's aligned to the boundary, then he's the hold and fold player, right? Because the two guys to the field now are the fitters. The 10 Will is the first open gap to the boundary, and then your 50 Mike is the first open gap to the field if the back's aligned to the boundary.
Okay. All right.
I am really, really sorry about this film, guys.
You're good. We got another question. Somebody typed in and says, what dictates whether you like to be in a 4-down versus a 3-down front?
Like I said, it really depends on a lot of different things in the game plan. But when we put in our under front, our 4-man under front, 4-down under front, we put in our way to get to that 4-down under front from a 3-man front on the same day. So, and all we do is we start in 2 4-outs and a 0, and we stunt to that under front. So we take the nose, all right, he'll stunt to a shade, basically. We take that 4-out to the field, he'll stunt to a 5. We take the 4-out to the boundary, he's stunting to a 3, so he really ain't crossing face. And then the rush to the boundary is our edge player, which that's what he is anyway, but we're just bringing it from depth if it's too removed. So basically, that ends up being the same front. So we'll put them in on the same day. That way we can tell the 2 inside linebackers the fits are exactly the same. So if we feel like we got an advantage on somebody by moving, post snap, then we'll do a lot more of that than we will just sitting in our under front. Like that's just an example of, kind of how we think when we're going from odd to even or whatever it is. But we definitely want to be able to do both, because for us, it's the same on defense. Once we put it in that way, But for the offense, it looks like two whole different things pre-snap. So that's a lot of what we do. That's what we're just getting back to an underfront or over front. All right, but we just giving them a different look pre-snap, if you understand what I mean.
All right, we got another one typed in. It says versus 3 wide receivers with an attached tight end backside. Would you rather play over? If you play under, how do you defend 3 wide receivers to the boundary?
We definitely play over about 90% of the time. You know, under is not great. You know, and if we want the bubble to the field like that, then we'll call short defense. You know, just because that's a field boundary deal. We rarely ever play under for that reason. What Coach just said, we rarely play under. To be honest with you, it's there if we need it for some games, but we're an over team. Any other questions? This film deal is not working, guys. I'm sorry. See, we got some in there though. What was the last question you read, Coach? Okay, I see it. So we good. Anybody got any other questions, guys? I'm not gonna be able to go into the film, unfortunately, because I cannot get it to cooperate. And that is all technical difficulty there. So I'm sorry. And you guys are more than welcome to, I will get on with any of you guys at any point in time and make sure we have the film to watch. All you have to do is send me a text or email me. I'm going to put in my cell phone number right now. 373-7624. There's my cell number. I'm going to answer that question here in a second, Coach. But you guys, if you want to watch the film and see it happen, then just text me. I can get on with you at any point in time. As long as we don't have a meeting or practice, I'll spend 15, 20 minutes so we can watch those clips during the day or whatever it is. Just text me. It's my fault that this is not working. So I'm willing to make it up to, any of you guys by anytime you text me, we'll get on and we'll watch it. But I just got to make sure I got it ready to roll. So just shoot me a text and give me a few minutes to get set up, and we'll make sure that we can watch this tape. But we got Coach, do you prefer coverage or pressure versus RPOs? If pressure, what pressures do you prefer? We prefer coverage. Of course, if you do run pressures, you're not going to get a chance to choose exactly which pressure you're running, and they're probably going to gas you a little bit, right? Because they're probably going to know where you're coming from. But we do have trap pressures that we use, which I think is a phenomenal way to pressure. All right. And basically what it is, it's a way to play too deep behind the pressures. Okay. Now that too deep could be a corner and a safety. It could be a bandit safety in the SAM. It could be a lot of different ways. It could be drawn up a lot of different ways. And that's something that, we can meet on another day. That's a whole nother clinic there. But we do have what we call trap pressures. We love it. Yes, sir. Yep, we still bring 5. We really like that. If we could choose what we were doing versus a RPO team, we really like the trap pressures. Anybody else? Any other questions? No other questions?
All right. Well, Coach, we appreciate it. That was some good stuff, man. It's always nice to hear people talk about defense. I always have to listen to these guys talk about offense all the time. So
yeah, no doubt. Offense is kind of gaining the edge on us right now. I'm sorry that we couldn't get this film to work out. If I could get pulled up, man, I'd stay on, and anybody that wanted to stay on, we could do it. It looked like it's actually pulling up. So if anybody wants to stay on and talk through it, it is what it is. I'll do that. All right, Coach. I appreciate it, Coach Parker. Appreciate you guys, man.
Yes, sir. We
And
appreciate
if anybody
you,
wants to
man.
stay on, just say it right now. You want to stay on? We'll try to get this thing figured out.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
leave it up if for a
Rick
little while.
Dyer.
People want to stay
Is
on.
that Rick Dyer that I coached?
It is, Coach.
Man,
How are you?
hey, man, I'm doing well. How you doing?
I can't complain.
Good, man. Awesome to hear from you. Rick was a good player for us. I got the film, guys. If y'all want to see it, just stay on. I'm going to pull it up right now and go through it. Here we go. All right. So if anybody's still on here, all right. So we got a 2x2 formation. So your 10 backer here is the mic. This is 2x2. Your 50 backer is the wheel. He's down to the bottom here. So this is a left call. We make a left call here because of overhanging free safety go to the right. Okay. So our fitters, our backs to the field. This is middle of the field. And we got a line to the back. This is why we always launch the formation. We always make sure that overhang is to the formation if we get in the middle of the field like this, okay? The wheel and the mic are the fitters here, and the Sam is your hold and fold player. So this guy is your hold and fold player. He's your Sam. It's always to the back, away from the back. So Mike, first open gap away from the back, he's going to be your A gap fitter here, okay? And your invert or your wheel away from the back is going to be your B gap fitter, okay? Here's my hold and fold. Everybody else is palms coverage. Okay, better see these guys fit right here. Now, we could always bingo this and make this take the gap and make it fall off the table to this invert, okay? But we're just playing base defense right here, so you can see the wheel fit, all right? And he always wants to leverage this thing in, so he always wants to tackle it with his inside shoulder. Now what we're telling, this guy's pumping the gap. Last 2 years ago, he's pumping. Now we're telling these guys is, shuffle, stack your gap, which is A, right? And then fall back to the back shoulders. That's what we're telling that guy now. Instead of just pumping that gap, maybe he want to fit. He wants to, step to his gap, but be able to fit back on the inside of that so that this guy can tackle it with his inside shoulder. You tackle with your inside shoulder as if I tackling it. Yeah. So that's kind of our fit right there with those guys. You can see the Sam playing hold and fold. He's kind of giving you a slow shuffle there. That's because he sees the eyes of the cue. He's playing it slow enough that if he does pull it out, but now I can be a fold player, once that ball is given. So once the ball's given there, and that might have something to do with down in distance, the way that he kind of shuffled this thing in, but he's playing your fold, he's playing your holding fold, so he's holding, and then he's going to fold in and be an extra fitter there once the ball's given. He's your holding fold player. Okay. All right. So, okay. Hey. He's really acting his own way here. Here we go. Oh, well, that might be it, guys. Froze up. Yep. Sorry. That's it. Like I said, y'all can hit me up anytime. I won't hold you any longer and waste any of your time. This thing's really giving me some difficulties tonight. So that's all we got. Anytime you guys want to come on and watch some 3x1 or 2x2, just shoot me a text. We'll get on and we'll watch it. And we'll go through the rest of those fits. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir.